Welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're unpacking a really crucial area. It's something that's utterly transforming how businesses thrive. Human resource management strategy and analysis. For far too long, HR was often seen as, well, purely administrative, right? Maybe stuck in the corner, just dealing with paperwork and
I
policies.
have the necessary overhead.
Exactly. But in today's dynamic, super fast-paced business environment, it's not just a support unit anymore. It's really becoming a powerful strategic partner.
It absolutely has to be.
Yeah, actively shaping the company's future and, honestly, defining its competitive edge in many ways. We've got a fantastic stack of sources for this deep dive, including some really insightful excerpts from Strategic Human Resource Management, Aligning People with Purpose. This source, it promises to really elevate our understanding, taking us from the foundational concepts right through to real-world applications and, the impacts. Our mission today is basically to give you a shortcut, like a real high-level insight into truly understanding how these strategic people initiatives don't just support business success,
Right.
but actually drive it, creating that significant, sustainable, competitive advantage. We're going to try and dismantle that old view of HR and maybe build a new one.
Indeed. And we'll be embarking on a journey really to explore how HR aligns with and supports overall business strategies. We'll dive deep into concepts like the strategic management process itself, the blueprint for an organization's future.
The actual roadmap.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then we'll dissect the different types of organizational strategies companies use to compete and look at HR's unique role in each one. And crucially, we'll examine the essential tools and metrics HR leaders are using now to measure their impact and, frankly, prove their value.
That measurement piece is key.
Absolutely. And also how to build these high-performance work systems to significantly boost employee engagement right across the board.
And we won't just be talking theory, right? We'll be bringing these concepts to life with some really captivating case studies and applications. We'll draw from global examples, but also some fascinating insights right here from India.
Yeah, there are some great Indian examples in the sources.
So whether you're a young professional trying to navigate the corporate world, or maybe an MBA student preparing for leadership, or maybe you're just, insanely curious about how organizations truly leverage their greatest asset, their people, well, this deep dive is definitely for you. Okay, let's unpack this. Understanding strategic management, the blueprint for business success. So we often hear this term strategic planning thrown around in boardrooms, in business schools. Sometimes it sounds a bit, abstract, almost academic.
They can sound that way, yeah.
But what does it really entail, especially when we talk about its direct connection to human resource management? Like, how does HR actually fit into that big organizational plan beyond just, being told what to do later?
That's a really excellent distinction to make. Strategic planning, at its core, it's essentially the art and science of aligning an organization's big, overarching objectives with every single one of its human resource management policies and practices. It's about making sure every single talent-related decision, who you hire, how you develop them, how you pay them, how you keep them, serves that broader business purpose.
So it's not just the what HR does, but the why.
Exactly. It's the why, always with the company's strategic goals as the North Star. Think of it not just as a roadmap, but more like the DNA that dictates the organization's survival and growth, really. Now, the fundamental process of strategic planning, as our source lays it out, involves 5 critical steps. It's a pretty logical flow for how organizations, envision and then pursue their future. First, you absolutely have to start with setting clear objectives. And this isn't about vague stuff like, we want to be successful. No.
Right, got to be specific.
It's about defining specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and crucially time-bound goals. So things like increasing market share by 15% in 2 years, or becoming the innovation leader in a niche, or hitting a 95% customer satisfaction rating, or maybe optimizing operations to cut costs by 10%. For HR, these objectives immediately translate into critical questions.
Like, do we even have the right people for this?
Precisely. Do we have the skills for that market share growth? Can we attract the kind of innovative talent we need? Do our current employees have the right customer service mindset to hit that satisfaction target? It forces HR to think ahead. Okay, secondly, once you know your target, you need to be realistic and look ahead. That involves making forecasts regarding the future business environment. This means anticipating shifts not just in markets, tech, competition, but crucially for HR, peering into the future of the talent landscape itself.
So what skills will we need in 5 years? Who's going to be available?
Exactly. Are there emerging skill gaps on the horizon that could just cripple our innovation plans? How will AI impact certain roles? What are the demographics of the future workforce? How will that affect recruitment? HR needs to predict these future talent needs and potential challenges. Because, look, reactively hiring when a skill crisis hits, that's usually too late and way too expensive. It's about proactive talent foresight.
Okay, so you set objectives, you look ahead. What's step 3?
Step 3, after understanding your goals and the future environment, is reviewing alternatives. This is where you consider different strategic paths to actually achieve those objectives.
Yeah.
For instance, should we expand into totally new geographical markets?
Mm-hmm.
That would demand a whole global HR strategy, wouldn't it?
Completely different ballgame.
Right. Or should we develop completely new product lines? That requires a different set of R&D and marketing talent. Or maybe we should just focus on optimizing our existing operations. That might mean significant upskilling or maybe even, right-sizing the current workforce. Each path has profoundly different implications for your people, and HR absolutely needs to weigh in on the human capital feasibility of each alternative. Can we actually do this with the people we have or can get?
That makes sense. Assessing the people cost or people capability of each option.
Precisely, which leads directly to the 4th step, evaluating strategic options. This involves a really rigorous assessment, looking at the feasibility, the inherent risks, the potential returns of each alternative path you identified. This is where the numbers and data really come in, looking at everything from financial projections to available resources, including, and this is key, your human capital.
Can we afford the training? Do we have the leadership bench strength?
Exactly those kinds of questions. This step is about selecting the most viable and beneficial options, not just on paper, but in terms of the actual human effort and capability required to execute them successfully.
And the final step.
And finally, the 5th step is choosing and implementing the best plan. This is where the final strategic decision gets made, and the chosen strategy is actually put into action. It's about translating those big ideas into concrete, executable steps right across the organization. And this is where HR truly steps up to lead the execution on the people side of that plan, making sure the workforce is mobilized, aligned, trained, motivated, and equipped to deliver on that strategy.
That certainly sounds like a very structured, almost top-down approach. It creates a clear hierarchy from the big picture down to the specifics. But, in today's agile, fast-changing world, isn't there a risk that such a rigid process could maybe stifle innovation or rapid adaptation? How does this framework account for that?
That's a very perceptive question, and it's precisely where the nuance comes in. While these steps do create a clear hierarchy of goals, starting from those top-level strategic goals, defining the overall direction, cascading down to more specific departmental goals, and finally filtering down to individual goals for every employee, the process itself isn't meant to be rigid or static.
Okay.
This cascading effect is crucial, yes, because it ensures everyone, from the CEO down, is working towards the same vision. But the implementation needs that flexibility. Policies then act as guiding principles for behavior within that framework, while procedures provide the concrete how-to steps to execute those policies. But the framework absolutely allows for iterative loops, constant feedback, adjustments, which actually brings us to an even more comprehensive view laid out in the source.
Right. Our source also lays out a more detailed 7-step strategic management process. What makes this particular framework especially insightful for our deep dive into HR? How does it expand on what we've just discussed, maybe hinting at that flexibility you mentioned?
This 7-step process provides, an even more comprehensive roadmap. And it particularly highlights the truly iterative and dynamic nature of strategy. It really underscores that strategy isn't a one-and-done event.
Not just set it and forget it.
Definitely not.
Okay.
It's a continuous cycle of planning, acting, learning, and adapting. So the first step here is to define the business. This sounds basic, but it's foundational clarity that honestly many organizations gloss over. Before you plan any major shifts or growth, you have to profoundly understand, what market are we really in? What specific products or services do we offer? And crucially, who are our core customers? It's clarity on that core identity before you plan any changes. Without it, strategic planning can just become unfocused.
Right. Knowing who you are now before deciding who you want to become.
Precisely. Then, step 2 is to conduct external and internal audits. This is your classic SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. But for HR, this isn't just a generic exercise. It's drilling down into specific, sometimes hidden, strengths, like maybe a unique internal talent pipeline or a really strong culture of innovation. And also identifying critical weaknesses, like emerging skill gaps that could just derail your strategy, or maybe an aging workforce with knowledge that isn't being transferred.
And the external part.
Simultaneously, you're assessing external opportunities and threats. For HR, this could mean analyzing labor market trends, demographic shifts, competitor actions, and talent acquisition. Maybe a rival just poached key people, or even new regulations impacting employment.
Yeah.
This whole audit provides the raw data, the reality check for your strategic choices.
Okay, so define the business, do the audit, then what?
Based on those rigorous audits, step 3 is to formulate a new business direction. This is where organizations revisit and revise their mission and vision statements. It might involve just a subtle tweak to adapt, or it could be a radical pivot, completely reimagining the business. Maybe a manufacturing company decides to shift towards services. This sets the new overarching aspiration, the destination.
Got it. Sets the new North Star.
Exactly. Step 4 involves setting strategic goals. These are the specific, measurable targets the organization aims to hit, both short-term and long-term. These goals come directly from that new business direction and the insights from the SWOT. They are the mile markers on your strategic journey, giving everyone concrete targets.
Makes sense. Turning the vision into targets.
Then, step 5 is to choose specific strategies. This is where the decisions are made on corporate-level strategy, what businesses are we in, business unit strategies, how will each unit compete, and functional-level strategies, which includes HR, how will each department support these bigger goals. This is where the competitive choices are explicitly made.
And step 6 sounds crucial for us.
Step 6, absolutely critical for our discussion, is to implement the strategy. This is where the rubber meets the road, turning plans into tangible actions. It means translating the strategy into actionable steps across the entire organization. And, importantly, it involves very specific HR activities. If the strategy is, say, differentiation through rapid innovation, then HR activities like recruitment must focus on bringing in creative thinkers, agile problem solvers. Training has to foster new skills, cross-functional work. Performance management needs to reward innovation and calculated risks, not just following old rules.
So HR is actively driving implementation here.
Actively driving and enabling it through its people practices. It's not just facilitating, it's making it happen.
Okay.
And finally, step 7 is to evaluate the plan. The cycle isn't complete without rigorously monitoring performance against those goals and making necessary adjustments. Strategy isn't static. The environment changes constantly, so it requires continuous feedback, learning, adaptation. If something isn't working, you loop back, reevaluate, refine. This feedback loop makes the process dynamic and responsive. It allows for that agility you asked about.
What's fascinating here is how clearly HR is integrated into implementation. But, for so long, HR was seen as just receiving strategy. Is this framework suggesting HR should be at the table much earlier, maybe even shaping the options?
Absolutely, that's precisely the shift. This framework implies, strongly, that HR insights should inform those initial audits and even the formulation of new business directions. Look, if your internal audit reveals a critical talent gap or an aging workforce holding irreplaceable knowledge, that insight has to directly influence what new markets you can realistically enter or what new products you can actually develop. HR isn't just a department that executes, it's a strategic intelligence unit, providing critical input on the human capital feasibility of any strategic direction. It's about HR being a co-architect of the strategy, not just a builder after the fact.
Types of strategies, navigating the competitive landscape. Okay, so we've laid out the blueprint for strategic management, the what and why. But that's just the start, isn't it? Because once you know your destination, you still need to decide how you're going to compete. What's your vehicle?
Exactly. The competitive landscape demands choices.
And our sources highlight that managers operate at 3 distinct levels of strategy here.
Absolutely. These 3 levels determine the scope and nature of a company's competitive advantage. They influence everything from huge investment decisions right down to staffing models. The highest level is the corporate level strategy. This is the big overarching plan. It defines the overall direction of the entire company and, critically, which industries or markets it will operate in. It's the ultimate portfolio decision. Where do we play?
Okay, the big picture. What are the common approaches there?
Well, within corporate strategy, you see a few common approaches. One is concentration. This involves focusing mainly on a single product line or service. Think of the WD-40 company. For decades, they've mostly stuck to their one iconic product, right? betting everything on being the absolute best at that one thing.
Resisting diversification.
Right. For HR in a company like that, it means specializing deeply, recruiting and developing talent for a very specific niche, fostering extreme expertise, continuous refinement. HR systems there are built to cultivate mastery in that narrow field. Then there's the opposite, diversification. This is about expanding into entirely new product lines or markets, spreading risk, opening new revenue streams. PepsiCo is a classic example, right? Far beyond soft drinks now, into snacks with Frito-Lay, healthy oats with Quaker Oats.
And in India.
In India, a great example is GCMMF, Amul. You see their vast variety of dairy products, milk, cheese, ice cream, butter, all under one umbrella. It mirrors global giants like Nestle or Unilever. Now, HR's challenge here is immense. You're managing incredibly diverse talent pools, potentially very different organizational cultures across business units. Imagine the snack division versus the dairy unit, and complex compensation structures to match different market demands.
Huge complexity.
It requires a really agile, adaptable HR function, capable of running multiple talent strategies at the same time. A third corporate strategy is vertical integration. This involves expanding operations either forward, closer to the customer, or backward, close to the raw materials. Apple's retail stores are a perfect forward integration example. They get direct control over the customer experience, the brand perception, right up to the sale.
Cutting out the middleman.
Exactly. For HR in that scenario, you're dealing with unique talent needs across wildly different parts of the value chain. You need engineers designing chips, manufacturing specialists, and highly customer-centric retail staff. Each segment needs a different talent profile, different performance metrics, a nuanced management approach. It's a huge challenge to create one cohesive Apple culture across all of that diversity.
Okay, so corporate strategy is about what business you're in, the where to play. What about the next level down? How do you compete within those chosen markets?
That brings us right to the business unit strategy. This level is about how a specific business unit or maybe a product line within the bigger company will compete in its chosen market. This is where the core competitive advantage is defined. This is the how to win question.
And how do companies usually approach that?
Well, two prominent strategies here are cost leadership and differentiation. Cost leadership is pursued by companies aiming to be the lowest cost producer in their industry. Think retail giants like Walmart or Big Bazaar here in India, or airlines like Indigo, also in India. They focus relentlessly on efficiency, economies of scale, streamlined operations to offer the most competitive prices.
Lean and mean.
Exactly. For HR, this implies a constant focus on efficiency and productivity across the workforce. Lean staffing models. Highly cost-effective, often standardized, training. It's about getting the most output from every resource, minimizing waste. HR might be driving productivity targets, optimizing headcount. Conversely, you have differentiation. Here, firms compete by offering something unique and valued. Superior customer service, unique product features, and exceptional brand experience that genuinely sets them apart. Think of a luxury car brand, maybe Mercedes-Benz, or a tech company known for innovation and design like Tesla.
Standing out from the crowd.
Precisely. And HR's role here is fundamentally different. It's about recruiting and developing highly creative, deeply customer-centric talent. It involves fostering a culture of innovation, quality, exceptional service, often requires significant investment in R&D, specialized training. Compensation and rewards might be heavily tied to performance metrics reflecting creativity, customer satisfaction, product excellence, not just volume or cost savings. HR focuses on nurturing unique skills and a culture that breeds that distinctiveness.
Okay, corporate level, business unit level. And finally, how do these big strategies then trickle down to the actual day-to-day operations, affecting everyone?
That's where functional level strategy comes in. These are the strategies at the departmental level: marketing, operations, finance, and yes, HR, all designed to directly support those broader corporate and business unit goals. For HR, this means ensuring every aspect of people management, recruitment, selection, training, development, compensation, benefits, performance management is designed and executed in a way that directly supports the overall business strategy. If the company is pursuing cost leadership, HR might focus on efficient, high-volume hiring and lean pay structures. If it's differentiation, HR invests in bespoke, high-quality training and innovation-linked incentives. Every functional strategy has to pull in the same direction, like oarsmen in a boat, right? All towards that overall goal.
Strategic Human Resource Management, SHRM. Aligning people with purpose. This seems like the absolute core of it, where HRM strategy truly takes center stage, transforming HR from, operational necessity to a strategic powerhouse. So what exactly is Strategic Human Resource Management, SHRM, and why is it so crucial now, more than ever, maybe?
You're right. This is the heart of it. SHRM refers to the systematic design and execution of HR practices that are intricately, deliberately aligned with the organization's overarching strategic goals. Its core purpose is to ensure the company not only acquires the talent it needs, but meticulously develops, nurtures, and crucially, retains the specific talent required to meet its strategic objectives.
Yeah.
It's a fundamental shift, really, from viewing people as just an expense, a cost center, that old payroll police stereotype,
Yeah, I know that one.
to seeing them as a genuine source of sustainable competitive advantage, an asset to be continually invested in and leveraged strategically. It's about making sure your human capital is perfectly synchronized with your business roadmap.
So it's not just about hiring generally good people. It's specifically hiring the right people with the right skills, the right mindset, the right cultural fit for the right strategy. Making sure every individual's contribution actually amplifies the larger organizational vision. Sounds like designing a whole ecosystem, not just filling job slots.
Exactly. It's systemic. And our source gives the excellent example of the Hotel Paris. It perfectly illustrates this point, paints a vivid picture of SHRM in action. This case study emphasizes HR's critical role in profoundly improving service quality. Now, for a luxury hotel, service quality isn't just nice to have, it's a direct strategic differentiator. It's key to reputation, repeat business, revenue.
It is the product in many ways.
Absolutely. And they achieve this improvement through carefully planned, strategic HR initiatives. From the very moment they recruit new staff, specifically looking for individuals with that natural hospitality inclination, a genuine service ethic, calmness under pressure, to how they meticulously train them in precise guest interaction protocols, anticipating needs, proactive problem solving, to how they reward superior service and great guest feedback. Every single HR decision is geared towards enhancing that strategic goal, providing an unparalleled guest experience. It's a powerful, tangible illustration of how SHRM directly impacts operational success, drives customer satisfaction, and ultimately contributes directly to the bottom line. It's designing every HR process, every touchpoint with that end strategic goal in mind, making HR a profit driver, not just a cost center.
It really highlights HR as being proactive, doesn't it? Rather than just reactive. It's about anticipating needs, shaping the workforce, cultivating a culture that reinforces the strategy instead of just, responding to immediate demands or putting out fires. Tools of strategic HRM. Measuring what matters.
Okay, so to move from this strategic intent, this theory, to actual measurable practice, HR needs specific tools, right? Tools to gauge its strategic impact and demonstrate its value in a language the C-suite understands.
Exactly, the language of business.
So what are some of the key instruments our source highlights, the ones that let HR speak that language of metrics and quantifiable outcomes? To truly be strategic, HR absolutely has to speak the language of business. Metrics, outcomes, not just anecdotes. Several key tools are indispensable here. First, we have the strategy map. This is an incredibly powerful visual tool. It clearly links departmental performance, including HR's contributions, with overall strategic outcomes. It shows those cause and effect relationships, how specific HR activities ripple through the organization to achieve broader business success. It's like a visual narrative of value creation.
Makes the connections visible.
Precisely. For instance, the source mentions Southwest Airlines and Indigo's quick turnaround metrics. A strategy map for them might show how streamlined HR processes for recruiting and training a highly efficient, motivated ground crew directly leads to faster aircraft turnarounds on the tarmac. Faster turnarounds then lead to more flights per day, higher aircraft use, greater efficiency, and ultimately a significant increase in profitability. It makes those often invisible links between HR's work and tangible financial results incredibly clear. It dismantles doubts about HR's contribution.
Okay, the strategy map makes it visual. What else?
Then there's the HR scorecard. This is a more comprehensive tracking system. It measures how various HR activities contribute to strategic objectives. It goes far beyond traditional, often internal-facing HR metrics. It includes both financial and non-financial indicators, reflecting the full spectrum of HR's impact. So it's not just tracking, say, cost per hire, which is foundational, yes, but it also measures how effective those hires are in contributing to innovation or customer satisfaction or market share growth. And then it ties that back to what it means for the bottom line.
So a strategic dashboard for HR's contribution.
Exactly. Think of it as a strategic dashboard specifically tailored for HR's contribution to the overarching organizational goals. It gives that holistic view of people-driven performance. Building on that scorecard concept, you have the digital dashboard. This takes the scorecard idea a step further by offering real-time graphs, dynamic data visualizations of key HR metrics. Imagine seeing your turnover rates, your engagement scores, the ROI on training, time to fill critical roles, updated instantly, minute by minute on a screen.
Wow, real-time insight.
Yeah. This real-time visibility enables incredibly fast, informed decision-making. HR and business leaders can react swiftly to trends or potential issues instead of waiting for, outdated quarterly reports. It transforms HR from a historical reporter to a proactive navigator.
Makes HR much more agile.
Definitely. And of course, to the foundation are the HR metrics themselves. These are the raw, quantitative performance indicators, things like turnover rates, cost per hire, training hours per employee, time to fill a position. While these are foundational, critical for basic monitoring, their strategic value comes from how they're analyzed, interpreted, and then linked to broader business outcomes. For instance, knowing your cost per hire is useful, but knowing that your low turnover rate among your high-performing employees is a massive strategic win, directly saving replacement costs, preserving knowledge. That's where the real strategic insight lies. It's about context, not just the raw number.
Got it. It's the analysis that counts.
Right? That a vital tool for assessment and continuous improvement is the HR audit. This is a systematic evaluation of HR functions, policies, practices. Think of it like an annual health checkup for the HR department itself. It assesses effectiveness, compliance with regulations, and critically, its strategic alignment with business objectives. The source specifically points to the CII's HR excellence model in India as a powerful example of such a framework.
Ah, the Confederation of Indian Industry model.
Yes, this model provides a robust structure for Indian companies to benchmark their HR practices against best-in-class standards. It drives continuous improvement, ensures strong strategic alignment. It helps organizations spot gaps between current HR practices and what's needed to achieve strategic goals. It's a diagnostic tool for your human capital strategy.
And the last tool mentioned.
Finally, we have benchmarking. This involves systematically comparing your internal HR practices and metrics with industry standards, or even more powerfully, with the best practices of leading companies, maybe direct competitors, maybe top performers in other sectors. The SHRM benchmarking service is cited as an example of a resource that enables this. If your cost per hire is way higher than the industry average, benchmarking helps you figure out why and how to improve. Similarly, if your engagement scores are lagging, it shows you what leaders in your sector are doing differently. It provides that invaluable external validation and a clear target for improvement. It lets HR learn from the best and, leapfrog ahead.
So these tools together really empower HR. They move it beyond just managing personnel to truly demonstrating quantifiable value and strategic impact. They let HR talk numbers show cause and effect, not just anecdotes. That's powerful for getting investment and proving contribution. It turns HR from a soft function into a data-driven strategic partner. High-performance work systems, HPWS, cultivating peak performance. Okay, moving from measurement to actual impact on the workforce. Our source introduces high-performance work systems, or HPWS. This sounds like, I don't know, the holy grail for HR, the ultimate goal of strategic talent management.
Haha, well, it's certainly a gold standard.
So what exactly is it? What makes it so transformative? How does it differ from just having, a few good HR programs scattered around?
That's a great question because HPWS is fundamentally different. It refers to a carefully integrated set of HR practices. They're designed and implemented synergistically, working together to produce superior employee performance, which ultimately leads to superior organizational outcomes. It's a systemic approach, not just a collection of isolated, disconnected programs. The idea is that these practices, when combined, create a powerful multiplier effect. The sum is far greater than the individual parts.
So the whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
Exactly. It's about designing a workplace where every element, every interaction, every policy encourages optimal performance, intrinsic motivation, deep engagement. It's truly an ecosystem where all the HR elements reinforce each other.
Okay, so it's not just putting a few good programs in place. It's a complete ecosystem where everything works in harmony. What are the defining characteristics then? What makes it high performance and different from just, standard HR?
You're absolutely right. It's a meticulously designed ecosystem. The core characteristics often include several key interlocking elements that really empower employees and align their efforts. Firstly, there's a strong focus on empowerment and commitment. In an HPWS, employees are given significant autonomy and responsibility over their work. And this isn't just, delegation. It's about fostering a deep sense of ownership, trust, and commitment to their tasks and the organization's overarching goals. Employees are encouraged, often expected, to make decisions at the appropriate level, contribute their unique insights.
Trusting people to do their jobs.
Fundamentally, when people feel trusted and empowered to shape their work, their intrinsic motivation just skyrockets. That leads to higher quality, more innovation. Secondly, HPWS includes strong performance management systems. And these systems go way beyond the traditional annual review that, let's face it, sometimes feels like a formality or just bureaucracy.
The dreaded annual review.
Right. Instead, these involve clear, measurable goal setting that aligns individual objectives directly with strategic business outcomes. There's continuous feedback, both formal coaching and informal guidance, providing ongoing direction and support. Crucially, these systems also emphasize developmental opportunities, ensuring employees are constantly learning, expanding their capabilities, growing professionally. And finally, performance-based rewards are intricately linked to high achievement, ensuring effort and results are recognized and compensated appropriately. It reinforces the behaviors that contribute to strategic success. It's a continuous cycle. Set, perform, develop, reward.
Makes performance management much more dynamic.
Exactly. And thirdly, a key characteristic is shared decision-making and information transparency. In a high-performance environment, employees are actively involved in decisions that directly affect their work, whether it's process improvements on the factory floor, solving customer issues, or even contributing to strategic planning discussions at their level. Moreover, critical information about the company's performance, its challenges, its strategic direction is shared openly across the organization.
Breaking down the silos.
Precisely. This builds profound trust. It fosters innovation because everyone understands the bigger picture and their role in it. And it ensures the collective intelligence of the entire workforce is fully leveraged. It's about building a truly collaborative, informed environment where everyone feels valued and connected.
So HPWS isn't just about working harder or even just smarter. It's about working more collaboratively, feeling more connected to the mission, and ultimately being more deeply invested in the organization's success. It sounds like a very human-centric approach that taps into intrinsic motivation. It seems like a powerful competitive edge, hard for others to just copy. Employee engagement, the heartbeat of success. And this leads us directly, doesn't it, to employee engagement. Our source calls it pivotal for business success. It feels like a buzzword sometimes, engagement, something every company talks about. But why is it so critically important for strategic success? And what are the major challenges organizations face in truly achieving it, beyond just, running an annual survey?
You're right. It's far more than a buzzword. It's the emotional commitment an employee has to their organization and its goals. It's really about how much they care.
The care factor.
Yeah, how much they care about their work, their team, their company. How willing they are to go that extra mile, their full discretionary effort. They don't just show up for the paycheck. They're genuinely invested, intellectually and emotionally. Now, the challenge for organizations is significant because, as surveys consistently reveal, think the Gallup's global reports, a high percentage of employees globally are, sadly, often disengaged.
Just going through the motions.
Exactly. These are employees doing the bare minimum, putting in just enough effort to get by, often clocking out mentally long before they physically clock out. And disengaged employees, they lead to a cascade of really negative outcomes. Lower productivity because creativity and initiative are stifled. Higher turnover as people leave for better opportunities or just because they don't feel connected. Reduced innovation because they're not invested in finding new solutions. Even negative customer experiences because a disengaged employee is unlikely to provide that stellar empathetic service. They become a drain on resources, a drag on progress, a hidden cost that can cripple even the best strategies.
Okay, so it's a major drain. How can strategic HR effectively turn the tide here? How do you cultivate that deep emotional commitment that drives performance and turns disengagement into vibrant participation? What are the practical levers?
Well, the source provides an excellent tangible example from Kia Motors UK. It showcases how a strategic overhaul of HR initiatives can dramatically improve employee engagement and, consequently, business outcomes. They weren't just tinkering. They implemented a comprehensive, integrated strategy.
What did they do specifically?
A key part involved clear and consistent communication. This meant ensuring employees profoundly understood the company's vision, its strategic goals, and perhaps most importantly, how their individual work, no matter how small it seemed, directly contributed to those bigger objectives. That kind of transparency builds immense trust, clarifies purpose, fosters a sense of belonging, makes employees feel like a vital part of something bigger. When people know the why, they're much more invested in the what.
Connecting the dots for everyone.
Precisely. Secondly, Kia Motors invested heavily in robust development programs. This wasn't just mandatory compliance training. It was about investing in employee growth, continuous learning opportunities, comprehensive skill building, clearly defined career pathing. When employees feel their organization is genuinely investing in their future, providing ways to learn and advance, their commitment and loyalty naturally increase. They see a future for themselves there. That's a powerful retention and engagement tool.
Makes sense. People want to grow.
Absolutely. And thirdly, they implemented new compensation structures. This involved designing reward systems that were not only fair and transparent, but also directly linked individual and team performance to organizational success. This ensured employees felt valued and adequately compensated for their contributions, creating a direct line between their effort and the company's prosperity. When rewards are clearly tied to strategic outcomes and individual contributions, it powerfully reinforces desired behaviors and motivates higher performance.
Aligning incentives with strategy again.
Exactly. The combined result for Kia Motors: a significantly more motivated, engaged workforce. This, in turn, led to better quality outputs, fewer defects, higher craftsmanship, improved customer satisfaction because employees were invested, and ultimately a stronger bottom line for the company. It's a powerful illustration that engagement isn't just a nice-to-have, a soft HR metric for morale. It is a hard, strategic imperative that directly impacts financial performance and market standing. Engaged employees become an unbeatable competitive advantage.
Case studies and applications, learning from real-world stories. These are fantastic examples of how strategic HR can transform an organization. But the best way to truly grasp these concepts is often to see them in action. In compelling real-world stories where theory meets practice, our source provides some really insightful cases that go beyond just definitions. Let's dive into a few of them to really make these ideas concrete.
Absolutely. These case studies perfectly demonstrate the versatility and the profound impact of strategic HR. Across different industries, different challenges. They show HR as the orchestrator of human potential, really. Take Siemens, for instance, a global technology powerhouse, right? Operations spanning energy, healthcare, mobility, industrial automation. Incredibly diverse.
Huge company.
Huge. And they've implemented a strategic HR system that profoundly emphasizes global talent development, fosters mutual respect across wildly diverse cultures, and promotes continuous learning at massive scale. For a multinational like Siemens, attracting and retaining top talent across vastly different regions and cultures, think engineers in Germany, software developers in India, sales teams in the US, that's paramount. Their HR strategy ensures employees feel valued, have abundant opportunities to grow through international assignments, skill development, and feel part of a truly global community. This fosters breakthrough innovation, seamless collaboration across borders. It enables Siemens to stay at the forefront.
So HR is enabling their global strategy directly.
Directly. It's a brilliant example of HR supporting a complex global corporate strategy by building a cohesive yet adaptable workforce that transcends geography. Then there's the Carter Cleaning Company example. Now, this might seem smaller scale compared to Siemens. It focuses on expanding employee involvement in quality management within a service operation.
A different scale, but maybe similar principles.
Exactly. The underlying principle is just as vital for strategic success. Traditionally, quality control might be top-down inspection, right? But by empowering employees, the ones closest to the actual cleaning process, who know every stain, every fabric, by empowering them to contribute directly to quality control and process improvements, Carter Cleaning likely saw enhanced service delivery, significantly reduced errors, and a noticeable increase in employee morale and ownership.
Tapping into frontline knowledge.
Precisely. This is a practical, grassroots application of those high-performance work system principles at a more granular level. It powerfully demonstrates that even seemingly simple changes in how you involve your people can have a huge, measurable impact on operational excellence and customer satisfaction. It proves strategic HR isn't just for the Fortune 500s.
Good point. It applies everywhere.
And let's revisit Hotel Paris, because the source goes into even more detail on its powerful strategy map application. It really brings to life how HR links directly to the bottom line. The Hotel Paris case specifically highlights creating a strategy map that explicitly links those seemingly soft HR initiatives to improved employee behavior and then directly to tangible financial results. It moves HR from being seen as a cost center to being seen as a profit driver.
Show me the money, basically.
Basically. Imagine starting with HR initiatives like enhanced recruitment of service-oriented staff, meticulously hiring people with that genuine smile, empathy, proactive mindset. Alongside this, implementing intensive customer service training programs, teaching advanced guest interaction, cultural sensitivity, efficient problem solving.
Building the right foundation.
Right. These HR initiatives, done well, lead directly to improved employee behaviors. For a hotel, Maybe more proactive guest interaction, staff anticipating needs, remembering preferences, or faster response to guest requests, swift, courteous resolution of issues. These improved behaviors, in turn, are the direct drivers of strategic outcomes. For Hotel Paris, that would mean increased guest satisfaction scores. Guests are happier, leave glowing reviews, come back.
Loyalty and positive word of mouth.
Exactly. And those higher satisfaction scores then directly lead to tangible financial results like higher occupancy rates, more guests choosing your hotel, and improved revenue per available room, RevPR, a key industry metric. Because guests might pay more for an exceptional experience and you have fewer empty rooms. This visual, undeniable cause and effect chain makes HR's contribution measurable and directly impactful on the bottom line. It reveals HR as a true value creator.
These examples really drive it home. Regardless of the scale or industry, a thoughtful, deliberate, strategic approach to HR isn't just beneficial, it's a fundamental game changer for competitive advantage. It's leveraging your people just as much as your products or technology, translating strategy into HR practices, from vision to action.
Okay, so we've talked about these grand strategies, powerful tools like strategy maps. But here's the million-dollar question for any HR manager out there, right? How do you actually take a broad business strategy, let's say, differentiation based on superior customer service, and translate that into the daily actions, the concrete policies of the HR department?
Yeah, the practical application. It's one thing to have the high-level vision, quite another to make it happen consistently across maybe thousands of employees.
This is absolutely where the rubber meets the road, where abstract goals get transformed into concrete HR practices that directly influence employee behavior and, consequently, organizational performance. Our source outlines several key ways HR managers achieve this intricate translation, making sure every single HR touchpoint reinforces the overall strategy. First and foremost, they focus on aligning hiring criteria with strategic goals. Recruitment isn't just filling vacancies quickly, it's strategically building the exact workforce needed to execute the chosen strategy. For example, if the strategy is differentiation through rapid innovation, HR won't just look for competent engineers. They'll actively seek candidates with a proven track record of creative problem-solving, intellectual curiosity, willingness to experiment, adaptability, maybe even an entrepreneurial streak.
Looking for specific traits, not just skills.
Exactly. Conversely, if the strategy is cost leadership, the hiring focus might shift towards candidates demonstrating efficiency, process adherence, a lean operational mindset, maybe high tolerance for repetitive tasks. Every single hiring decision becomes a strategic investment. Secondly, HR designs training programs specifically focused on strategic capabilities. Training isn't generic anymore. It's highly targeted, often bespoke, directly linked to the skills and behaviors required by the strategy. If the business is strategically moving into, say, AI, HR develops specific intensive training modules to rapidly upskill the existing workforce in AI, ensuring the company has the internal expertise. For that service differentiation strategy we mentioned, training will focus heavily on advanced customer interaction skills, empathy, complex problem solving, fostering a truly service-oriented mindset in everyone who interacts with customers.
Tailored training for the strategy. Makes sense.
Thirdly, performance appraisals are intricately linked with business outcomes. Employee performance isn't just measured against individual tasks or generic competencies anymore. It's rigorously measured against their direct contribution to the strategic objectives. So in that customer service differentiation strategy, appraisals wouldn't just look at transaction volume. They'd heavily weigh customer satisfaction scores, positive feedback, maybe innovative solutions to customer problems, success in building long-term relationships. It ensures what gets measured and rewarded is what truly drives the strategy, creates that direct line of sight.
Connecting individual performance to the big picture.
Precisely. And finally, incentive programs are meticulously designed around strategic key performance indicators, KPIs. Compensation and reward systems are incredibly powerful levers for shaping behavior, directing effort. If the strategy demands increased market share, incentives for sales teams, maybe even product teams, might be directly tied to sales growth in new areas or successful market penetration. If the focus is on quality and reducing defects in manufacturing, bonuses might be tied directly to quality metrics, lower error rates, fewer returns. This ensures employees are rewarded specifically for behaviors and outcomes that directly support the strategic direction. It's designing a reward system that pulls everyone towards that strategic North Star. aligning personal gain with organizational gain.
So every single HR touchpoint hiring, development, evaluation, reward is meticulously crafted, intentionally designed to serve the larger business purpose. It's strategic alignment woven into the very fabric of the employee experience, not just default processes or an afterthought. That's incredibly powerful. You can see why HR is becoming so central. Sustainability and HRM. Building a future-proof workforce. Okay, shifting gears slightly, but still very relevant. In our increasingly conscious world, sustainability, it's moved from being, just a buzzword or a side initiative to a core strategic priority for many organizations.
Absolutely. Driven by consumers, regulators, investors.
Right. It's not just greenwashing anymore. It's about genuine environmental and social responsibility. So how does HR, with its focus on people and culture, play a vital and evolving part in this crucial area?
You've hit on a critical point. Sustainability isn't just an environmental issue anymore. It's a holistic approach to long-term viability. It encompasses environmental, social, and governance ESG factors. And HR's role here is becoming increasingly central. Because at its heart, sustainability relies profoundly on human behavior, innovation, commitment, cultural change. HR is the engine for driving sustainable practices from within.
So HR drives the cultural shift towards sustainability.
It's a key driver. One way HR contributes is by promoting eco-conscious workplace policies and practices. This can involve a wide range of initiatives designed to reduce the company's environmental footprint and foster that responsible corporate citizen ethos. Think about encouraging reduced paper usage through digitalization, implementing energy conservation programs in the office, promoting public transport or carpooling through incentives, or even actively supporting remote work options to cut commuting emissions. HR designs these policies, communicates their importance effectively, and fosters a pervasive culture of environmental responsibility. They make it easy, desirable, even part of the job, to be green.
Embedding it in the day-to-day.
Exactly. Secondly, HR is increasingly involved in incorporating sustainability metrics into performance evaluations. Just like financial results are measured, an employee's or a team's contribution to sustainability goals can be explicitly recognized and assessed. This could involve meeting specific targets for waste reduction, actively participating in green initiatives, or developing environmentally friendly solutions in their work. By including these metrics in appraisals, HR makes sustainability a tangible, shared responsibility. It shows it's valued as much as other business outcomes, moving it beyond lip service. What gets measured gets done right.
Makes it real for people.
It does. And thirdly, HR can play a huge role in encouraging green practices through rewards and recognition programs. HR can design specific incentive programs rewarding employees or teams for innovative ideas that reduce environmental impact, or for successfully implementing sustainable practices. This could be a bonus for designing a more energy-efficient product, public recognition for leading a successful waste reduction campaign, maybe even offering paid volunteer days for environmental causes. This reinforces desired sustainable behaviors, recognizes champions, creates role models, and motivates others. It embeds sustainability deep within the corporate culture.
So this means HR isn't just about managing human capital for profit anymore. It's also about aligning the people strategy with the company's broader impact on the planet and society. Integrating HRM with corporate social responsibility, building a truly future-proof, ethically responsible, purposeful workforce. That seems like a powerful intersection. Outro. Wow, what an incredibly insightful, really thorough, deep dive into the world of human resource management strategy and analysis. It's abundantly clear now, isn't it, that HR is far more than just a support function or an administrative necessity.
Far more.
It truly is a fundamental driving force for competitive advantage, actively shaping an organization's future in today's complex business landscape.
Indeed. We've seen how, by meticulously aligning HR practices with overall business goals, organizations can ensure that their human capital truly becomes their most powerful, most dynamic asset.
Yeah.
From understanding that foundational strategic management process, the blueprint for success, to deploying sophisticated visual tools like strategy maps, comprehensive HR scorecards, to leveraging quantitative metrics, and learning from compelling real-life case studies, both global and from India. HR's evolving and crucial role demands strategic foresight, meticulous planning, and, frankly, flawless execution.
Absolutely. We've explored how complex concepts like the strategic management process, those different types of corporate and business unit strategies, concentration, diversification, cost leadership, differentiation, and the specifics of strategic human resource management all interlink. And we've seen how critical tools like HR scorecards, digital dashboards, HR audits are deployed to measure HR's profound impact and prove its value. We also dug into how high-performance work systems and genuine employee engagement are the very heartbeat of a successful organization, all brought vividly to life through those great examples like Hertel Paris, Siemens, and Kia Motors.
And the shift, from a purely transactional HR department focused on compliance and admin to a truly strategic business partner, deeply embedded in strategic decisions. That's not just a trend. It's a fundamental necessity for survival, growth, long-term success in today's market. Organizations that fail to make that profound shift, they'll simply be left behind, unable to attract, retain, or unleash the full potential of their people.
So, as you, our listener, reflect on this deep dive, maybe consider what this all means for you. How can understanding these profound connections between people strategy and business outcomes empower you to make more impactful decisions? Whether you're working directly in HR, leading a team elsewhere, or even just building your own career path, how can you maybe advocate for strategic HR within your own organization? Become a champion for that people-driven competitive advantage.
And this raises, I think, an important forward-looking question that extends beyond today's discussion. In a world increasingly driven by technology, AI, automation, where many traditional tasks are being automated, what will be the next frontier for strategic human resource management? Beyond even the critical focus on sustainability we just discussed, what will truly differentiate leading organizations and shape the workforce of tomorrow? What new human capabilities will HR need to cultivate to stay ahead?
A powerful thought to mull over indeed. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep making an impact.